Hey friends, happy Monday and welcome back to another week of What's for Dinner. If you're new here, hello and welcome. I am Taylor. I'm a stay-at-home wife and mom, and I share What's for Dinner videos like this every week to hopefully give you guys some new meal ideas and motivate you to cook more for your family. This video actually marks 7 years of posting weekly What's for Dinners. I might have missed a week here and there, but this is video number 365 in my What's for Dinner series, and that works out to 7 years of these videos, which is just so crazy to me. I never thought I'd be doing it for this long, but you guys enjoy them every week, and I'm happy to help by sharing what we are eating. But as always, any recipes that I mention are going to be linked in the description box. Let's go ahead and get into this week's What's for Dinner. Starting off simple, on Friday night we did some sheet pan, pork chops, and potatoes. So I'm starting off here with some baby potatoes that I have either halved or quartered and put in a bowl, and I'm drizzling on some olive oil, and then I'm going to add some garlic powder, onion salt, a little bit of the Aldi brand steak seasoning. It's like the McCormick one, the Montreal steak. It's basically exactly the same thing. And then also some salt and pepper. Toss it around, make sure everything's coated really well, and then I transferred them to my sheet pan, leaving room for the pork chops in the middle. So now I'm adding the pork chops in the middle, and I am going to spritz them with some cooking spray and then season them on both sides with some of that steak seasoning and garlic powder. And I always talk about how I'm spritzing stuff with like olive oil cooking spray or like cooking spray. It's not actually olive oil in there anymore, but this is like a Pam olive oil cooking spray that I bought, and then somebody said you could just refill it with regular olive oil. So I did that, and I've had this bottle for a while now, and I just keep refilling it. And I actually don't have olive oil in it right now. I have grapeseed oil because it was cheaper at Aldi, and I decided to try it, and it works the same. Once I got those pork chops all seasoned up, then I put this in the oven on 425 for 25 minutes. And at the end of that, I broiled it for like 2 minutes just to get the potatoes a little bit crispier. And we served this with a can of green beans on the side and also a can of fried apples. Typically, I would do like applesauce on the side of this because, you know, pork chops and applesauce. But my kids wanted these fried apples. We've had them in the cabinet for a while and keep forgetting to eat them. So we had those instead. Saturday we had tuna patties, mac and cheese, and steamed broccoli. This is a family favorite. You guys have probably seen this meal many times on my channel, except for typically we would have green beans on the side, but because we had just had a can of green beans the night before, everybody wanted broccoli instead. They've also all been really loving steamed broccoli. The tuna patties have their own separate video on my channel. I will link that down below for you guys. You can go see how I make them. I do salmon patties the same way, but I don't typically do salmon patties very often because tuna is cheaper and it tastes good, and my family really likes it. And then the mac and cheese was Instant Pot mac and cheese, and I'm sure that there's a video that I can link down below for that as well. Sunday night we had lasagna. Andy has been requesting this, and I just never really feel like making it. I need to start doing the thing again where like when I make it, I make two and put one in the freezer, and then we have another one for later, but I did not do that this time. I'm starting off by browning up some ground beef with some minced garlic, garlic powder, onion salt, salt and pepper, and some Italian seasoning. And I'm just gonna get that cooked up and browned up and chopped up with my little meat chopper until it's all the way done. While that was cooking, I started working on my cottage cheese mixture. Some people do ricotta. We prefer to do cottage cheese. So I did probably about half a container of cottage cheese. I had a little bit left in one container, and then I opened another one. And then I'm going to add in 1 egg, some garlic powder, onion salt, Italian seasoning, and a little bit of pepper, and then I'm going to mix that together really well. And once that's mixed together, then I'm going to add in a bunch of grated Parmesan cheese, mix it all together really well, and then set that aside for layering. Once my meat was browned, I drained off the excess grease. I used the little paper towel method to soak up the grease, toss the paper towels in the trash, and then I'm adding in some marinara sauce. I did about 1.5 jars added to the meat, and then I saved somewhere around 1/2 jar to like top it with if I needed more. And also I'm going to be putting some of it in the bottom of the pan. So I've got my 9 by 13 inch baking dish, and I have greased it with a little olive oil cooking spray, and I'm putting down a layer of just marinara sauce. And then I'm going to add on my lasagna noodles and put those on. I do not bake or do not cook these ahead of time. These are not like oven ready or anything. They are just regular lasagna noodles. As long as you use enough liquid, they will cook. So I add those on, and then I do some of the meat sauce, about a third of it, and then I do half of the cottage cheese mixture, top that with some shredded mozzarella cheese, and then repeat. More lasagna noodles, another third of the meat sauce, the rest of the cottage cheese mixture, some mozzarella cheese, and then finally a layer of lasagna noodles, whatever's remaining of the meat sauce, and then if I need to, I can add on some more marinara from the other jar that I had, and then top this with a bunch of shredded cheese. And then I like to stick toothpicks in the top of mine so that the foil doesn't stick to the cheese. Just a couple toothpicks to keep the foil raised up off of it a little bit. I cover this with foil and stick it in the oven on 375 for 45 minutes. And then at 45 minutes, I remove the foil and let this continue baking for about 15 more minutes. And then I let this rest for about 10 minutes before serving. And I didn't feel like doing anything with like salad this night, so we just had garlic bread with this. I toasted up some sourdough bread and put on some garlic butter, and we had that with our lasagna, and it was delicious as usual, and delicious the next day for leftovers as well. Monday night we had creamy cilantro lime shrimp pasta. This is a recipe I've made quite a few times. I've also done it with chicken. I believe that the original recipe was with chicken, but we really like it with shrimp. So I'm starting off by heating up a little bit of olive oil in a large skillet, and then I'm also bringing some salted water to a boil to cook up whatever choice of pasta you want. You're going to do 8 ounces of pasta. I ended up using, I think it was fettuccine, maybe it was linguine, whatever. I had like 8 ounces of it left from some recipe at some point, so I decided to go ahead and use that up. Then once my oil was hot, I added in 1 pound of shrimp, and then I seasoned that with salt and pepper and garlic powder, and just let those cook until they were done. Once they were done, I removed them from the pan, and then I'm adding in some minced garlic, lime juice, and chicken broth, and just let that cook over medium heat for 1 to 2 minutes. Just don't burn the garlic. You want to kind of like deglaze the pan, scraping anything off the bottom, and let that liquid reduce and not burn the garlic. And then you're gonna stir in some chopped cilantro, and then add in heavy cream and milk, and let that come to a boil. And then as soon as it comes to a boil, you can add in mozzarella cheese and turn off the heat. And then we're going to add in our pasta that we have cooked and our shrimp, and then get that all combined really well, and then top it with a little bit more cilantro. And that's it. It's really easy and like really delicious. It's creamy and rich, and I don't know, like the cilantro, I didn't know if we would like this, like with the cilantro and lime being in such a creamy sauce, but it is so good. We've made it quite a few times now. And then I didn't make anything to go with this night. I just had some extra slices of lime on the side if anybody wanted to make it a little bit more limey. Tuesday night we had barbecue pulled pork sandwiches. So I have a pork loin from Aldi that I'm adding to my crock pot, and I'm going to season that all over with some of this steak seasoning that I mentioned earlier. It's like the Montreal steak seasoning, but just the Aldi brand. And I'm doing that to both sides of the pork loin, and I'm making sure to do the side with like the big layer of fat towards the top, so that when I go to shred this later, I can just like take out the fat easily. And then I'm adding somewhere between 1/4 of a cup and like 1/3 of a cup of apple cider vinegar, and then covering the top of the pork loin with some barbecue sauce, whatever one you like. And then I'm going to cover this with a lid and let it cook on low. I think I did like 10 hours. I started this as early as I could in the morning and let it cook all day. And then I went in with some tongs and like peeled off the fat off the top and started shredding this up. It shredded so nice. And then I decided like I wanted to go in with my kitchen shears and kind of like chop it up. I think I also added in a little bit more barbecue sauce, and then I just let that sit until we were ready to make our sandwiches. Everybody in my family except for me likes to put cheese on their pulled pork sandwiches. So I think the kids had American cheese on theirs, and then Andy had, I think, some Colby Jack. I just like to sometimes add like a little bit more barbecue sauce, and that's it on my pulled pork sandwiches. Let me know down below if you like to put stuff on your pulled pork sandwich besides just like pork and barbecue sauce. I know people do like slaw, but I'm not a fan of slaw. But let me know what you do in the comments down below. To go with this, we had some fresh veggies on the side and ranch for dipping, and then everybody got to pick their choice of chips because we had like so many open things of chips. So I have like some Doritos and also some Pringles just to try to use up some chips that we have. Wednesday night, we tried a new recipe for pepper steak in the crock pot. So I'm starting off by making like the sauce mixture in the crock pot. I have like 3/4 of a cup of beef broth, and then I'm adding in some minced garlic, 1/4 a cup of soy sauce, 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce, 2 tablespoons of honey, some black pepper and salt. And then the recipe wanted you to use ground ginger, but I have some of these cubes of frozen ginger, so I use that instead. And then I'm also going to be adding in 2 tablespoons of cornstarch and just whisking everything together really well, trying to get it combined. It was hard with that honey. It likes to stick to the bottom of the crock pot. I think if I would have used like warm water to make my beef broth, it might have worked a little bit better, but it is what it is. I mixed it as best as I could. And then I'm adding in 2 pounds of steak that I have cut like pretty thinly. And then I'm also going to add in 1 onion that I have sliced and some bell peppers slices. My kids like to snack on these, so I just always have some in the fridge. And I knew nobody would probably really eat like that much of it once they're cooked, so I didn't put too many peppers in there. But if your family really likes cooked peppers, then add a bunch to it. It said 3 large whole like peppers, but I did not do that. And then you can cook this on low. The recipe said 6 hours or high for 3. I ended up cooking it probably for like 7 hours, which I definitely think was a little bit too long. This was still good. The meat was just like very fall apart tender. You can tell if I stir it too much, like the meat was just gonna like fall apart, so I tried not to stir it too much. But it was delicious. It was so good. I just served it on top of some white rice. And finally, the last meal of the week, I made some chicken in the air fryer and served it on top of some fried rice. So the day before, I made a bunch of white rice and had leftovers to make fried rice. I will leave a video linked down below where I have shown my fried rice in depth. For the chicken, I was going to do teriyaki chicken and then air fry it, but what I thought was teriyaki sauce in my fridge turned out to be orange chicken sauce, so I just did it in that. And then I put it on my air fryer basket, but I first lined the basket with foil because it could be like really sticky once it cooks. So I did that and then just air fried it for like, I don't know, like 15 minutes. These were some chicken tenderloins, and then just cut them up and served them on top of the fried rice. It was simple and good. And that is going to be it for this week's What's for Dinner. I hope that y'all enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you leave me a thumbs up and let me know in the comments down below if you plan on trying any of the recipes that I shared here today. And you can also leave me a smiley face emoji down there to let me know that you made it here all the way to the end. I hope y'all have a great week, and I will see y'all on the next one. Bye.